10 minutes of non-stop news and no-wait weather starts now.
He is the suspect in a violent Sioux Falls shotgun murder.
And tonight he's behind bars here in Sioux Falls. Samuel Blulant was extradited today from Dickinson County, Iowa, where he was facing drug charges. 19-year-old Michael Stevens was shot 3 times with a 20-gauge shotgun sometime around New Year's. Many Haha County investigators believe Lint was the gunman, upset over a drug deal. Lint is set to appear in court in Sioux Falls next Tuesday. Michael Stevens' murder prompted us to ask some questions about the flow of drugs into our community.
What we have found is a sophisticated drug trafficking network, one that is both high-tech and high-risk, and leading more kids on a collision course with drugs and murder in Sioux Falls.
Michael Stevens was 19 years old when he was murdered just 7 weeks ago. Trent is 18 years old.
What's the easiest to get a hold of right now?
Easiest to get a hold of? Press some dope.
Trent isn't his real name. He would only speak to us if we hid his identity. He says a lot of his friends use drugs. He denies he uses, but tells me marijuana in Sioux Falls is like air. It's everywhere, and it's easy to get.
How do they get a hold of it? Do they have a specific dealer? Do they know to go to a specific place? How does that work out?
Just through buddies.
While there are still traditional drug dealers at work in Sioux Falls, Trent says most kids who use buy and sell to one another, keeping it between friends.
There's really a social network.
Darcy Jensen with Prairie View Prevention counsels kids with drug problems. She's seen 2 very dangerous trends. Parents who grew up in the 60s and 70s who see marijuana as no big deal, and a spike in the number of 15-year-olds smoking pot and getting high.
That's one of the biggest risk times for kids to get involved.
Risky because 15-year-olds are freshmen, trying to fit in and willing to do what the crowd does to be accepted. More and more, the crowd is doing marijuana. A recent survey conducted by Prairie View and distributed to students in Sioux Falls Public Schools shows 35% of kids have smoked pot within the last 30 days.
The marijuana is definitely taking a jump forward.
Taking a jump backwards is alcohol. Getting booze underage requires getting one of these, a fake ID, or it requires finding someone who will buy for you. And it carries with it the increased risk of getting busted by stores who don't want to get busted by police. Darcy Jensen tells me marijuana is so readily available in Sioux Falls that it actually carries less risk of getting caught.
What people who are still wanting to take risks are doing is finding another avenue.
So kids are trading beer for pot.
With not a lot of work. Basically, you would know 1 phone call, 2 phone calls?
Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5.
Trent tells me if he wanted pot, he could score some by making at most 5 phone calls to friends. He also says more drug deals are happening online as kids wanting pot seek it out from others through Facebook and Twitter. Communication that's quick and private and hard for authorities to trace.
A lot of it has to do with the people that are arrested, how willing they are to work with the investigators.
Sioux Falls Police spokesman Sam Clemens tells me most times drug arrests involving kids are a dead end because if they've been arrested for possession, they don't want to admit anything more, fearing they could face more charges. According to police statistics, more than 1,300 Sioux Falls kids between the ages of 15 and 21 were arrested for drugs in 2006. That number fell to just under 1,300 for 2007, but then shot up to more than 1,700 in 2008. Last year, the number dropped again to more than 1,400.
Marijuana is by far the number 1 drug that we see.
But there's something else happening here. With pot becoming more widely used, the drug culture in Sioux Falls is becoming more widely accepted. Kids who use are friends with other kids who use. It's becoming a spider web of influence here in the city. Kids in Sioux Falls drug world either knew Michael Stevens directly or knew who he was.
They really have become part of a drug trafficking network.
Drug counselor Darcy Jensen says some of the kids she was treating at the time Stevens was killed expressed concern about their own safety, worried they could be somehow targeted by association. Stevens' death is temporarily driving home the point that some who deal in drugs are dangerous.
There are consequences for not maintaining your part of the deal.
Jensen says the pot in Sioux Falls is being trafficked in from Denver, Minneapolis, and Sioux City. Those doing the trafficking are having more direct contact with teens because more teens are using, and that's putting more teens in danger.
There's more at risk than just the addiction.
Jensen worries more kids could end up sharing Michael Stevens' fate, murdered in their teens because of drugs. Minnehaha County investigators believe Michael Stevens was murdered here at the Lyon Fairgrounds near the Expo building. Shot 3 times with a 20-gauge shotgun sometime around New Year's. Yet no one in the area reported hearing a thing. That prompted us to do some checking. We asked Jeff Moreland, a local Sioux Falls hunter, to repeatedly fire his 20-gauge shotgun in a hunting area east of Sioux Falls so we could determine the distance the sound would travel. We found a 20-gauge blast can be heard for a little more than a mile. If you draw a 1-mile radius map with the Expo building as the center, you find the sound of a shotgun blast would be obscured to the south by traffic on 12th Street, obscured to the west by traffic on I-29. There's a quarry to the north, and to the east there's just a handful of businesses and homes, most more than half a mile away. In short, although the fairgrounds are in the middle of a large city like Sioux Falls, it's understandable why no one reported hearing a thing the night Michael Stevens was murdered. But when I was talking with Trent about Sioux Falls, not once did he mention anything about danger. It was all about the drugs.
So how in the world are you supposed to protect your child from all of this? It begins with one question. You need to sit down with your child and ask them point blank, are you using drugs? Darcy Jensen says a lot of times parents wait for signs of drug use instead of just being upfront and asking their kids. If they're using, they may still say no, but read their body language and trust your instincts when it comes to your child.